Nail or beauty school was just the beginning, right? What on earth do you do now? Welcome to the Salon Success Podcast with Monaco Nail Academy. Our topics stretch beyond nails and into all things salon related, business, marketing, and social media, and at the very least hits you with real, honest stories about our experiences. This isn't school, this is real life, real business, and really freaking hard work. Before we get started, wherever you are, thumbs up, tag a friend in the comments, or hit that share button and support small business. Hey guys, it's Penny here from Monaco Nail Academy, and today I'm joined with the same team from last week. We have Leonie.
Yeah, hi.
And we've got Mel.
Hi.
And Pat.
Hi.
And we all have the giggles from Leonie's mute, unmute endeavors, just trying to get that hello out.
My technological struggles.
So funny how we all wait.
When Beck is on the podcast, she always does the sweetest little smiles and waves at everybody. And I'm like, oh, I wish you were actually going to be on screen.
And just a reminder before we get started to use my code, which is Leonie, for 10% off all courses. I get a kickback from these enrollments, and they are how we support the production of the podcasts.
And you've got a code too, Mel?
I do. It's just Jungle Nails.
And Pat?
Mine is Patsitive.
So you guys can all fight it out for the commissions, and everybody gets 10% off as a bonus. So before we get stuck into this week, we're actually carrying on from last week. Leonie, can you fill us in on what happened in last week's episode?
So last week we were just talking about learning about our creating a marketing avatar and using ChatGPT as a marketing tool to help expand our perfect client or our perfect avatar, so that we can tweak our marketing to really hit our nail on the head.
And so we're going to jump from that into how to actually targeting our avatars. But at the end of last episode, Pat was just getting very deep into the avatar summary that ChatGPT had handed her. So let's hear that. Pat, can you tell us about your ideal client?
Okay, I have been so excited to share this with everyone. So ChatGPT says, meet Marissa, your ideal client at Patsitive Beauty. Marissa, 32, is a dedicated public sector manager residing in Hamilton, New Zealand. She manages a team of 15 and balances her professional life with her passion for fitness, crystals, and tarot cards. Marissa values self-care highly, integrating beauty appointments into her routine as part of her mental well-being, following the Te Whare Tapawha model, which includes Tinana, physical, and Hinengaro, mental well-being. When it comes to beauty treatments, Marissa alternates between nail and lash appointments every 2 weeks, budgeting $150 to $250 per session. She prefers builder gel manicures with glitter accents and almond-shaped nails. For lashes, she opts for light volume to enhance her natural look, perfect for her active lifestyle without needing makeup at the gym. Marissa discovers new beauty services through Instagram and word of mouth, preferring salons that offer a positive, affirming atmosphere with a touch of new age woo-woo. She enjoys spaces that smell nice, are relaxing, and provide comfort during her appointments. After her sessions at Patsitive Beauty, Marissa feels refreshed and uplifted, eagerly sharing her experiences on social media and through personal recommendations. She prioritizes quality service and expects products that withstand her active lifestyle, ensuring they endure heavy lifting and perspiration. By understanding Marissa's preferences and lifestyle, Patsitive Beauty can tailor its services to meet her needs, providing not just beauty treatments, but also an essential component of her self-care routine. Whoa, that's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's very you. How do you feel about it?
I'm just like, heck yes, Marissa, come through. Come through. Let me do your nails and your lashes, girl. Come spend your $250 with me.
And to create that too, Pat, how thorough were you in answering those questions? Were you quite brief, or you did a deep dive?
I would answer, some of it would be short answers, and some of them would be a couple of sentences. So for example, what does Marissa usually expect from the atmosphere of a beauty salon? I was a bit more in depth with that one. I was like, Marissa wants it to smell nice, be relaxing, have some new age woo-woo touches, and just be a positive and affirming space. She wants to be comfortable in temperature, how she sits. She wants fidgets, blah, blah, blah. And then another question, I was just like, through social media and word of mouth, you know? So it depended on the question. I was very specific about how much Marissa spends, though. I was like, easily 150 to 250 per appointment. Thank you. Every 2 weeks. I was like, if I can spend that, she can spend that.
I was a bit the same playing with ChatGPT when I was just seeing if it would define Caitlin further. Like some of my answers were paragraphs where I was very passionate about like, this is important. And then other things I was like, yeah, Instagram.
Yeah, I guess I've kind of gone a little bit lightweight because I've never done this before. So most of my answers were quite short answers. I guess in some ways I'm trying to test it to see how much it can do for me rather than me putting in the information. But then also because I'm a bit of a researcher, I'll probably do the same thing again and I'll extrapolate my answers to see how much more it will give me from a basic perspective. So when I had first done it, it had just kind of given me a bit of a synopsis of what I had entered. So I thought, okay, can file that, no problem. And then I just went back into it and simply typed, tell me more. And then it's come up with actually about sort of 5 good paragraphs that's gone a bit deeper into my avatar, as I now know to call it, with a lot of actually good information on. So my avatar, she's a little bit older, she's very classical, she has some spare time and a flexible budget. And it's come up and she says, since she prefers muted styles and classic French, you could highlight your expertise in these areas, showcasing your portfolio of timeless and tasteful nail designs. You might consider offering group booking discounts or referral incentives to encourage her to recommend your services to her friends because she values word of mouth and magazines for information. You could also consider offering loyalty discounts for repeat clients or running promotions in local publications she may read, which actually is perfect because I'm in a semi-rural environment. We do have like local rags that target our local people. It's not something that I've ever thought to do before, but that makes perfect sense because that, you know, based on location priorities would be a very intensive marketing rather than, you know, if you were just doing average marketing, it could end up everywhere. Or if you're doing something on Instagram or Facebook, somebody has to come across that. But if I can actually tap into my local marketing that comes to all my local people, and it's taken ChatGPT to actually make me think of that.
This is so funny to me because that really relates to our episode 2 weeks ago. So people really need to listen to that episode. That's so good, Leonie. Oh my gosh, I love this.
I was thinking the same thing, like, oh, wait, she wasn't here for that, was she? Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, I might have to do some rewind and repeat.
I think this is just really exciting. Thinking about a specific person because it'll make it, you know, this conversation we're having for this episode is all about attracting your avatar, right? So now that we know who the person is, we can really start talking about how do we attract that person so that we're not attracting others. Like, yeah, we might get, you know, that spaghetti effect, but we're trying to really aim the spaghetti. We're going to be like sharpshooters with the spaghetti instead of just like flinging it haphazardly. We're going to be like,
avoid the roof specks.
Yeah, we're going to avoid the roof specs. We're going to be like, the spaghetti is now in like a spaghetti launcher. It's not just you throwing it. It's like, it's a custom made spaghetti launcher and it's mostly going to hit that area. I don't know. I can't come up with targeting like allegories or whatever.
Yeah,
I love that.
We need to know who they are and where they are so we can target them. Like you were saying, Leonie, you want your local people, obviously. So how do you get to them? And then also like what issues they may have that then we can provide a solution to, you know, like you say, the travel time, maybe they work till 4 o'clock. So does that mean you need to have an evening appointment to give them time to get to you? Or do they have kids in school as well? So you offer appointments while their kids are away? Like, yeah, I guess you can identify their issues and then you can offer a solution.
And you can also tweak them. So if you go, okay, well, she works full time, so do I need to offer evenings? And then you're like, wait, I don't want to do all evenings. Then you can go, okay, well, then she can't work full time. So then you can go back and tweak her so that now this person who was in your head that you thought you were targeting, you have refined to better suit your needs.
With that one, with the full-time thing, I stipulated to ChatGPT that Marissa works full-time, but she works flexibly so that if she needs to take 3 hours to get everything done for her lashes or her nails, she's going to go and do it, and she'll make up the time the rest of the week, and that's not an issue. Whereas if she had a different profession, that might be a problem. But I was like, nah, Marissa is the boss of her team, and she can go ahead and do that.
So now that we know our ideal customer, we need to get their attention. So I am going to keep referring to Caitlin just for ease. But so you know who your Caitlin is. Now you need to know where your avatar is. Who is she talking to? What is she looking at? What is she listening to? What is catching her eye at any given moment? Which other humans does Caitlin interact with on a regular basis? Or your avatar, like which other humans does your avatar interact with on a regular basis? Not just friends and family, but who do they follow on social media? What shops do they go to? What gym? What classes? Where do their kids go to school? These are all human interactions that are important parts of your avatar's day. Where she goes, we need to go. So birds of a feather flock together is the saying, meaning that your avatar is most likely hanging out with people very similar to her, fairly close to the drawing pin when it comes to throwing spaghetti. And if you don't get that reference, you need to go back and listen to last week's episode. But when we find our avatar, we find lots of other people that will also be great clients for us. So not only do we want to be where our avatar is, but we also need to speak her language. Again, not literally, but like, how would they talk? What words would they use? What slang? You want to be recognizable and relatable when you get in front of her. And Mel touched on this perfectly last week when she was talking about like speaking quite casually and having a few swear words and like the way that she talks, like her avatar would love and appreciate that. The wrong person won't, but we don't care about the wrong person.
I think it's quite right. Like, although we are going for our ultimate target, because likely that person will be a good fit for us and we will be a good fit for them, which is more likely to ensure recurring business, steady income, etc., but it doesn't preclude us actually maybe enjoying those who are a little far away from our target from time to time, even if they're unlikely to be long-term clients. I've done a few young men lately, often with our nail biter rehab people. They might people that are coming to a short term. So it's not that you wouldn't market to those people or that you wouldn't want them to come, but they're not going to be your bread and butter. So yeah, give me a random whatever, that's fine. We can have some fun with that, but you still to maximize your income and your rebookings is target your avatar.
I mean, yeah, you want your avatar to be like your majority of your client base, right? Like one of my favorite clients was a local radio DJ, a man, Mr. Johnny, shout out Johnny. And we did the funnest sets. But yeah, he was a small percentage of my client base, but somehow he found me and we worked and we got on, even though he's not my avatar.
Pat likes to say that she's not Abby or Caitlin.
I'm not Abby or Caitlin, but I'm definitely spaghetti.
You're not a roof speck?
I'm not a roof speck. I'm a spaghetti that's like, I can relate to Caitlin and Abby in certain ways without the kids. Like, I guess my kids are my pets. Yeah, I think it's really cool to think about if you're trying to target this specific person, this person actually also has friends or people that are adjacent to them who will probably want to come and hang out. So I was just writing down like what's Marissa's routine in a week? Like, where would she be going? Who is she hanging out with? Because those are ways that you can target your marketing. Again, going back to that conversation from like 2 episodes ago. So everyone should go listen to that. Even though it has like a weird name, you will want to listen to that episode.
I'll give it a better name when we publish it.
Okay, thank goodness, because we were all like, blah, 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 volume what?
You might not be the drawing pin in the middle of the spaghetti, but I think like you're like a little speck of oregano.
The garnish.
I'm a garnish. What?
Well, I mean, you're not 80s parsley, but you're definitely like maybe the parmesan.
Okay, I like being the cheese. That's so good because I make it better.
Between the three of us, like Pat, Mel, and me, you think from a student perspective, yeah, we're all on that board. We've all got some source on us. There's obviously some commonality there, but there's also a lot of differences. You know, Pat's a bit younger. She doesn't have kids yet. Mel's got younger kids. I've got older kids. We all get along really, really well. We all have a great time when we're together. Because you share that commonality, and I guess that's the same for when you're searching for clients. Not everyone's going to be a carbon copy, but you have some common traits that overlap, and we've all got sauce and sometimes garnish.
Well, this is where like maybe you guys are all Caitlin, but Mel was specifically Caitlin and Pat's a younger Caitlin and Leonie's like a slightly older Caitlin. Like you were Caitlin when your kids were young.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me so excited for Summit. Oh, I can't wait.
well, feel free to do a little Summit plug there then, pal.
But yeah, no, it makes me so excited for Summit where we can get all our people together, all our spaghetti together and just have fun. Like we are so different, but we all have something in common. We're on the same sort of, I don't know, page, same vibe, same wavelength, and it's fun when we're together. Like Leonie just said, we have so much fun, and I was like, can't wait.
The thing you all have in common is sauce.
Yeah, sauce, definitely. We all got that sauce. And I think being together is probably the one place where, you know, as nail technicians, I guess we've all got a little bit of flair or a little bit of something. And Summit is the perfect place where you can be completely extra and absolutely fit.
And for those of you that don't know what Summit is, it's a 3-day event right before the NZ Hair and Beauty Expo in 2025. You can find out more about it at monaco.ac.nz/course/monaco-summit-2025. I'll put the link in the show notes, but you can attend for as little as $16 a week. You can register for $16 a week, or you can pay up front and get a little discount as well. But yeah, love it. Love a natural ad break.
Yeah, can't wait. And it's before comps also, right? Which we're going to be talking about in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we are.
You do have to be a Monaco student to sign up, right?
Technically, yes. But like we have courses that are $15.
Yeah, people just need to do one Salon Success module and that's it.
Exactly.
And if you like the podcast, then you'll love the course. Duh.
This is the whole community thing again. And I know every time I come on a podcast, I end up talking about the community thing. But if you're not in a Monaco course already, or you're not signed up for Summit or whatever, do one of the short courses and get access to the community and you'll be hooked. It will, like Mel, it will suck you into everything else that is good and fabulous and wonderful about being involved in a tremendous community of like-minded, source-covered, organo spec people.
Do you know it's like an actual an actual genuine testament to this is that there was a student who, going back quite a while, didn't organize their time well, also didn't take accountability for the fact that that was their responsibility, got grumpy at me, rage quit all the groups because I was like, I'm not your mum, like you've had our support and this is what we've done and I can't help you any further. And she got angry. Yesterday she messaged me and was like, I'm really sorry for how I behaved. I've grown as a person and I was just wondering if you would please put me back in the Facebook group.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
So that's a testament, is that even people who got mad at us at one point or another still want to come back to the community.
Yeah, feel the love.
All right, so moving back into our avatars, what we also want to do once we really know and love them is work out what they want from their experience with you, because it's a two-way street. We've spent a lot of time working out exactly who they are and what we want from them. But the more you develop your avatar, the more they closely resemble a real person, and real people have things they want too. So something that I know that at least you three are all, or at least Mel and Leonie are going to be like, I don't want to do that, but hear me out. The idea of running a focus group to get information about what your avatar wants. So I don't know if any of you have ever been part of this, but when I used to live in the city, when we were early 20s, all of us would sign up to these marketing agencies who did focus groups all the time. There's an agency and you sign up, and then every now and then they'll call and be like, just wanted to double check, and they'll just check like age, gender, like a couple of really basic criteria. And they'll be like, great, you qualify for this thing. Can you come here on like Thursday at 5 o'clock? So like you'll go and sit in a room and talk about pizza or tampons or microwave rice or like whatever they are developing a marketing campaign for, and they will usually give you dinner, and then they'll usually give you an envelope at the end that has like $50 in it or $150 in it. Like I got paid $150 for one that also had dinner, and all of us in our flat when we were early 20s were like, did you get the call for the tampon one? Or like we were all on those things, and we were like, hell yes, I'll have a free dinner. So focus groups are like a thing. To organize your own focus group, which I know all of you because you're all Caitlin, and I know that you're like, I don't want to do that, but hear me out. To organize your focus group, post on your local like community-based Facebook group or wherever works for your community, and ask for people of a similar demographic to your avatar. So broader, but this is where you can use your like 25 to 40 instead of your 32 or whatever, like broad but still avatar-ish age range, similar family dynamics, similar income bracket, which like being sensitive to social media, you'd say like employed for more than 30 hours a week or like stuff like that. Get them to meet with you one evening in exchange for a free or discounted service. So all you need to do is go on Facebook and be like, hey, community, if you are between 25 and 40, you are female, you have a young family, and you work full-time, and you would like a free manicure, can you please comment below? I'm looking to get a few of us together for a chat, and I'm going to supply wine and cheese. So you have 4 or 5 of your avatar in the same room. You give them nibbles, you give them coffee or wine or whatever, or you order some pizzas, and then you just ask questions. And I would highly recommend recording it so you don't miss stuff later, but you can be taking notes as well. I usually, when I've done this in the past, find it easiest to start these conversations around the 5 senses, which we've done an episode on 3 or 4 weeks ago, that we did an episode on the 5 senses, and that makes a really good, easy starting point for talking. But also when you're like, whatever, did you do a focus group? Can I just tell you, at Summit, what was every evening when people would trickle off to bed and there would be like 7 or 8 of us still up talking? If you were able to go back in time and listen to the questions I was asking, you all suck it into focus groups.
You cheeky.
Myself.
There was things though.
There could have been some alcohol involved with that, so you know.
I mean, it works. How do you guys feel about the idea of getting to know your avatar through a focus group?
Terrified.
I am obsessed with this. Like, me too, Leonie. I'm scared, but also like, this sounds like fun, but also like, where would you host this? Like,
if your salon's big enough in your salon, if you are comfortable in your lounge, if neither of those apply, at a local cafe.
Okay.
And as much as I say, I would be absolutely terrified even the thought of doing something like that, but then already in my head I'm thinking, oh yeah, would probably be in the salon. Maybe I'd hand around like swatches of artwork or something to get people's feedback on that, or So in one way I'm thinking no, no, no. In the other way, my mind is already thinking, how could I do this?
Pat, you know where you could host yours is at the crystal shop.
Ooh, at the crystal shop.
You
I'm
say
gonna
to them,
like-
hey, can I like kind of hire your crystal shop to do a little focus group? This is why I want to do it, and I'll pay you with a manicure.
I need to make friends with the crystal shop. Okay. Yeah.
But
Sounds
even with
good.
a shop like that, Pat, where you've got other people coming in, you could actually have it like a little feedback form, and you just ask, other customers, oh, could you just give me some feedback on services I want to offer, and just make it like a 5 bullet point thing of what their preferences would be in regards to lashes or nails. They don't even have to be like a
Ooh,
client.
fun. Would the crystal shop get mad at me and be like, stop annoying my customers? I'll be like, I'll spend money.
No, because you
Here,
just do
here's
it for
my
a short
receipt.
time. You offer them a little reward, everybody's happy.
Okay. Do a little cheeky survey at the gym / the crystal shop. Now I need to sign up for the gym again. I miss the gym.
So I have some like question suggestions. Feel free to comment on any of these of what you think your avatar would say. But these are some of the questions that I had previously brainstormed for use in focus groups. So, what do you like to see in a salon from your seat? What turns you away from a salon if you see it? Like Mel was talking about when she first started her salon, that her home salon, that her rubbish bins were in the driveway. Like, you can go like, how would you feel about this? Or what relaxes you? What do you like to listen to when you're in a salon? What is your favorite kind of scent? Because what if all of your Caitlins are like, I hate floral. Oh, actually, funny story. So after the 5 senses episode a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, that's right. Like when the last lot of like diffuser things ran out in the salon, I didn't replace them. I need to make sure that scent is like my signature scent is there. So I got a diffuser from Downlights, which is like such a cool company. And I put it in, and it's white peony. It's my favorite scent. I've loved it for years. And since putting it in the salon only a couple of days ago, multiple people have walked in and been like, oh, then fumey in here. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And like one lady, because I've been real sick, I got a chest infection. And one lady was like, I said, I thought I was getting better, but I had a bit of a cough. And she was like, oh, well, yeah, well, the stuff that you're working with, it would catch in the back of your throat. And I was like, I'm not working with anything different. Like, I haven't used acrylic in ages. Like, I'm not using anything. And it took me a couple of days to realize that it's because in such a small space with a brand new diffuser, they all think that this lovely scent that I'm walking in like, oh, it smells so good. They're like, oh, strong. I think that's hilarious. So, okay, other questions. What makes you comfortable? What's your number one priority in a salon? Why do you get your hair, nails, brows, lashes done? How often do you like to have them done? Because like Pat with her avatar is aiming for fortnightly appointments. But if she gets 5 Marissas in a room and they say they like to have both things done on the same day once a month, then that immediately tweaks. Okay, cool. Pat thought she knew Marissa and she knew the base, but actually we're learning that maybe she needs to target things differently and go like, well, actually, if you like being really efficient because you do work for like, because Marissa, your avatar Pat works for like a corporate and you're saying that she's the boss, so she has lunch breaks, right? Well, what if actually what works better for her is that she can leave and take a half day and get all her stuff done once a month? Like, this is one thing that you're learning about her in a focus group.
That makes sense to me. Yeah. It's such a good point, right? Like it's like we made up a completely random person, like not completely random. Like we like this avatar of ours. We've made them up. But also we can actually find out what's real about them by doing this focus group, or even just interacting with people. We start to discover things that make Marissa or Caitlin or Leonie, what's the name of your avatar?
Mrs. Smith.
Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith. And Mel, what's yours?
I can't remember my one's name, but I think I can't remember.
You
My
have to
point
name her.
is,
I
Yeah.
did. I just can't remember what it is.
I have to rename her now. I'm gonna have to just chuck in Belinda. That's the name of my lash mannequin. Anyway, yeah. So we're getting to know Caitlin and Abby and Marissa and Mrs. Smith, and we're like, hey, these parts about them are coming to life based on like real life interactions that we're having. It's not just stuff we've made up in our minds. We're actually validating it, and so that makes it more realistic. And then it's like a self-fulfilling thing where it's like we made it up, but actually there's truth to it, and then it becomes truer and truer as we go along. So I reckon that's
Just
cool.
Your laws of attraction again.
Yeah, that one.
What about, do you care more about experience or outcome?
Ooh.
I don't know. It's hard to separate the two things, really.
No, because what if you go and you're like, that was so relaxing, what a vibe, loved that, smelled great, didn't smell like fumes, but my nails are like average, but I just like going there. Versus, yeah, like it could be a little bit cleaner, like it's dusty, it's not unhygienic, but like it's okay, but like she's a little bit untidy, but my nails are incredible.
I can't separate them. I'm like, no, you have to look good, feel good, and have great nails.
I think there's like a level, right, of what's acceptable. So maybe what Penny's getting at is like we meet like there's a standard we're trying to achieve, but it doesn't have to be like top tier. We're like the most award-winningest nail tech on the planet. But some people will be like, no, I want to go to the best of the best of the best of the best. And then some people will be like, I really vibe with this nail tech and I'm gonna go there, even if the nails aren't as flash as it, like she can't do those Russian edge nails, but she can do a pretty solid sculpted French, and I like that, you know? I don't know.
Maybe.
Found my avatar, so I just looked it up.
And what's her name?
So her name is Poppy.
Oh,
Cute.
Poppy.
And it's so funny because it was pretty much what I said. Like she's got 2 young children. She's got a cat and a Rottweiler. Now that Ava, her daughter, has settled into preschool, Chrissy's at the point where she feels like she can get her life back. Chrissy knows who she is. She knows she doesn't quite fit in with the mum crowd, and that's okay with her. She's quite happy to rock up to school pickup with her hair in a bun, wearing her jandals, shorts, and a t-shirt. Christy attracts a lot of attention due to her fun-loving, loud, outgoing personality. Even though she looks sweet, she swears like a trooper and tells you how it is.
Awesome. I like Poppy.
I still love her.
It sounds a bit like you.
Ah,
Wait, is her name Poppy or Christy? Chrissy.
I must have made 2 because the names have gotten mixed up.
She sounds like a Poppy.
She knows a lot of people and is well respected within the community, but keeps a small, very tight-knit circle of close friends.
Oh.
What I love about it though is that yes, she sounds very similar to what you described to us, but also there's differences. Like in that one, you didn't mention her tattoos, but you did mention tattoos today. Or last week, and what that means is that you know her so well that there are things about her that you know that aren't on paper. Like she lives in your head, otherwise you wouldn't know that.
She's just grown up and decided she wants tattoos since then.
Okay, here's another one. How long do you expect to be able to go between appointments? So I think this is interesting because, like, for example, Pat being the newest nail tech of us 4, her times aren't yet quite up to what those of us doing it for years and years are at. So, Pat, if you're avatar Marissa, you're like, okay, cool. How long do you expect to be able to go between appointments? And she says 4 weeks. And you know that your work is, and I'm not saying this is you, but like, say, for example, if you knew that your work is usually best around the 3-week mark and you prefer to backfill it, then you need to know that your number one priority in working and practicing and doing lessons has to be longevity, because that's what's important to her.
Oh my gosh, so good. That's such a good point. Okay. I need to do a focus group.
Yeah. You'll have like all these new friends and you won't have time for us anymore. You'll be like, I have a whole bunch of people that are my avatar. I love my avatar. She is me. I don't need friends anymore. I have these people. Okay, I'm going to run through a couple more. How long do you expect to be in a salon for an appointment? How important are new colors or products to you? So you can prioritize your budget and go, well, actually, they love a new color, so I'm going to have to make sure I prioritize those. How important are bonuses such as head or hand massages to you during a service? How important is conversation during a service? What about what's the best salon experience you've ever had and what's the worst salon experience you've ever had?
See, I think that's a really good point to be able to drill in for your clients, because they might be focused on something quite different than you are, like where you think, oh, I want my salon to be just like immaculately clean and smell really good. And then your person says, actually, my worst experience was I walked into the salon and I hated the fragrance and I could never get past it again.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I feel like we can all easily name our worst experience of anything. And like, as well, if someone says, well, my worst experience was a person who did XYZ, and say, I'm trying to think of an example, like my worst experience was a person who refused to rip off my nails and insisted on soaking them in, even though it took ages, right? And you're going to sit there being like, oh, well, I would soak them too. Well, what that tells you is that if your avatar believes that they would rather have their nails ripped off, then in your marketing, you need to be educating potential clients on why soak-offs are better. Like the focus group is telling you what to put in your marketing.
That's a really good point. I think also, even if we stop talking about focus groups for a second and just think about the feedback we get from clients themselves, I think that will tell us a lot about how we want to be targeting towards our clients. Like, for example, I always hear about my communication and explaining things. And like I had a client talking about how, you know, their worst thing is if they don't know what's going on because it triggers their anxiety, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, oh, you know, like that sparks a thing in my head where it's like, okay, make a note of that. And they're looking for this, you know? So yeah, I think that's cool. And it has applications that aren't just to do with the focus group and not just to do with your avatar specifically, but just like your marketing in general. So this is like a lot. I have like a lot of notes.
Focus group too. And when you're talking about experiences, what's your best or worst, you know, if you go to a salon or what have you. And even that, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because like if I think back, I think my worst client experience was a lady and I actually cut her and it was quite bad. And of course, you know, you panicked a little bit and do your thing, but she had quite a high hypernicum and I hadn't checked under her finger and I cut her like really badly and I felt awful. And we got through the service and she was very gracious about it, but I just thought, I'm never going to see her again. So you think, okay, if she was my focus group, that would have to be her worst salon experience ever, right? Because she was literally damaged. But it wasn't. And she didn't leave me. She continued to come back because she loved the way that I did her nails. And it was like a huge, big deal for me. And it wasn't even on her radar.
And the things that make my worst experience ever wouldn't have been on the radar of the people that gave it to me. Like, okay, I've got a couple that I could for sure list, but one that's an easy example, and I wouldn't say this is the worst, but like I went in for a facial and their rooms were divided by rice paper. Like you couldn't see through them, but it wasn't full walls. And while the mask was on my face, the person went out into the reception area, which is literally just on the other side of rice paper, and then had like an argument with the receptionist. And I'm just lying there with a mask on my face, like, awkward, like I'm trying to relax. That wouldn't have registered with them at all. They wouldn't have thought about it, because if they were that focused on it, they wouldn't have done it. So it is about like, even though I'm very sure that none of us four would do that, it is bringing your awareness to, again, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and different people prioritize different things, right? Like, I know for me, one of my worst experiences was it felt like my lash extensions hadn't dried and they tried to let me go with like wet lash extensions, which was like, what? And then instead of letting me like explaining or whatever, they're just like, ah. Then they turned on a fan, turned off the lights, and then left. And I didn't know how long they were going to be gone. That was like traumatizing. I never went back. But for somebody else, they may have just felt like, oh yeah, okay, they're gonna come back when they're ready. I'm just gonna sit here in the dark. So it's different strokes for different folks. Although I feel like that was objectively traumatizing. So maybe not my best example. But like different people care about different stuff.
I have an example that's like not even that bad, but for me it was. That's why I think it ties in with what you were saying, Pat. I went and got a wax done with someone new, like a Brazilian wax or whatever. And she used the type of wax that's not a strip, but like you wait for it to dry a bit and then you pick up the edge and pull it off. And I was used to a wax taking like 15 minutes with the person I'd gone to previously. And this service took an hour. But not only did it take an hour, but it was the type of wax where she's really like fiddling with your bits. And for me, that was an extremely uncomfortable service because it wasn't in and out quick, like, let's get the job done. It felt slightly too into the gray area of intimate, and I never went back. But that would have been her thinking she did a really good, thorough service.
And somebody else may have really valued the thoroughness, somebody else may have really liked that, and maybe that's exactly why she does it that way, but you just weren't her target.
Exactly, I'm not her avatar. I have a couple of other questions that I'm going to run through quickly, only because they're very different to the other ones. So the last few questions I had noted were, what are your top 5 most visited websites? What are your top 5 most visited stores? What radio do you listen to? What TV do you watch? What social media do you go on? What time of day do you go on social media? What activities do you do in the community? Who do you trust most for product and service recommendations? And what does a day in your life look like? And I didn't want to leave those out because they are very different to the other ones where they're really dialing down into finding her habits and like locating her.
I'm gonna find you.
So the list goes on, and every single answer teaches us something. If Abby has no time, or Caitlin or whoever has no time to be on the computer, online marketing will be less effective. If the first thing they do in the school pickup queue is check her Insta stories, we need to be in them. I heard a really cool story once about someone who sold healthy food products, sneaking into the library once a month to put bookmarks with her company name into every healthy food book in the library. And it really worked. So if you think about where your avatar is right now, like pause the podcast and picture your avatar. Where are they right now at this exact day, at this exact time? And based on where they are right now, how could your logo be within sight of them? How could your work be within sight of them? And how could you be part of the next conversation that they have?
Food for thought.
You also want to think like, what problems do they have and how can you solve them? Are they too busy? Are the services you offer not a priority in their budget? Are your hours incompatible with their availability? Are they frustrated with something? Every one of these considerations has a solution. So you just need to promote the one that your avatar needs to hear about, remembering they do have a number one priority. Like, we are trying to target a specific person. Each person doesn't need help with everything. We are trying to narrow down. But so what do you guys think? Are you going to do focus groups?
I remember when I did the Salon Success, I remember it coming up and immediately it being like, yeah, nah, I'm not doing that. I never did it. I don't know if I made something up to make you think I did do it and submitted it. I can't remember. But I never terrified me. But although I think now, maybe because I'm just more, I don't know, more experienced, it doesn't terrify me as much. I feel like it would actually be quite fun to have a group of like my people together. But no, I'm not going to do it now.
Are you sure, Mel? Maybe since you've moved, you should do it now.
Yeah, that makes it, maybe that makes it less scary because nobody knows me. I don't know them. Where I was in like a small town, everybody already knew me, and yeah, I don't know. Are you going to do it, Pat?
I'm thinking there are like 5 million things I need to do. So Penny, putting it back to you in terms of like if you're just starting like me, I'm just starting. At what point should I be doing the focus group? Like, should I be doing this like right now, yesterday, or should I be doing like something else first and then come back to this?
I reckon now. I reckon the second that you have a service you can sell and an avatar, you do your focus group. Because otherwise, what's the point in if you have a service you can sell, you want to be selling it. And if you know your avatar, you know who you want to sell it to. So what is the point in even doing another social media post and being dramatic? You know what I mean? If you're not doing it for the right person, like otherwise it's the very definition kind of low value, high volume. You're just working for nothing because you could be working so much more efficiently.
That is such a good point, because when you think about how do I do my social media posts or even like any promos I'm going to do or whatever I'm planning to do, it has to be targeted at my avatar, and therefore I should get to know my avatar better by doing this focus group, which means I need to contact the crystal shop. So,
and like right now, because you're not yet fully booked because you are new, now is when you have time to be getting the right people.
That's so true. I have the time right now and the flexibility to do this stuff. Okay, so I guess I'm doing a focus group. That sounds stressful, but also fun. Okay.
So just before we wrap up, I want to take a minute to remind you about Summit 2025, which is a 3-day event happening in Auckland, New Zealand, just before the Hair and Beauty Expo next year. It's 3 days of networking and training, classes, business and marketing, nail art, everything. We're going to do a pub quiz that's nail tech themed. We're going to do like pizza night, like all sorts of stuff. Plus there's goodie bags, and you can find more out at monaco.ac.nz/course/monaco-summit-2025. If you do, you can do it on a payment plan or you can do it up front. And if you do it up front, your guys' affiliate codes do work. So Pat, what's your code for 10% off?
What? It works? I thought it didn't work.
I mean, it works. It's just that if you do a payment plan, your first payment is $16, so you get $1.60 off. But if someone pays up front, they still get 10% off. It's 10% off all courses. Summit is technically a course.
Okay. Well, my code is Patsitive.
Okay, I didn't know that either. I will definitely let everybody know that. My code is Jungle Nails.
Leonie had to pop off, but her code is Leonie. With that done and dusted, before you guys disappear, like our page or follow the podcast so that you don't miss the next episode. We'll be back next week. Pat, what are we covering next week?
Next week, we will be covering operating hours. So that's a topic that we will get into very soon.
That does not sound like... Yeah, so you might think that that's a pretty straightforward topic, but we are going to get into some of our own experiences with what hours we've had, the pros and cons, like stuff we've touched on today with servicing our avatars with the right hours. So it'll still be a good chat and we'll still have lots of fun. Until then, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching Monaco Nail Academy or follow our salons. Mine is Hard Like a NZ.
Mine is Jungle Nails.
Mine is Patsitive Beauty.
Have a great week and we'll see you next time.
Ka kite.
Ka kite.